Alright, so a couple days ago I did a live stream of Planetside 2, and I wanted to talk about my opinions briefly in a short video, because I'm totally not going to ramble on for like 30 minutes. Either way. Planetside 2 has been on my radar ever since I first heard about it. I believe it launched in 2012, and I've been interested in the concept ever since, but I've never had a PC that could properly run it, and I just didn't have a good PC gaming setup. And now that I do, I decided I have to see what it's all about, and the final push that got me to do it was that they implemented DirectX 11 support, which, just to put simply, dramatically increases performance. Or at least noticeably increases performance. And so I have a better machine, and now the game has better performance. It was time for me to download and play it. My first gripe with the game, because that's what I do on this channel apparently, my first gripe with the game was that the UI and the amount of stuff in it just seems messy and overwhelming. If you're a longtime player or a huge fan, then that won't bother you, but I will let you know if you do try to get into the game, it is on PS4 and PC, that it's kind of a mess and I'm still trying to figure it out. That being said, I didn't feel totally gypped just playing with a default light assault kit, which is basically you have a jetpack, an assault rifle, and some sort of shitty grenade launcher, which halfway through my 2.5 hour stream somebody finally told me that it's not for infantry combat, so if you see me shooting it at infantry, yeah. Some of my big concerns definitely arose when people in my live stream told me that I had chosen the wrong faction and that there's a more overpowered one. And that bummed me out because I didn't want to hear that there was an overpowered faction. I just thought it was mostly aesthetic changes. I guess I should have read more, but I was streaming and I didn't want to sit at a menu for too long. But apparently I picked a more underpowered faction. Whatever. Then what got me is that after you die, you get this little menu that pops up that says you can, get a bunch of XP, and then when you click on that XP button, it opens up a little web browser in Steam and takes you to a place that asks for your credit card information. That was a huge red flag, and also the amount of weapons and things. It's very complicated and messy, and seems to want me to buy things. People in my stream were telling me it's a fun game that's pay to win, and I honestly wasn't able to dive in deep enough. Again, I was streaming, I didn't want to spend too much time in menus, I spent too much time in tutorials as it was in that live stream. But everything just kind of seemed like I was underpowered, like I was supposed to be buying something else. And there is an in-game currency and an in-game upgrade system that you can do per match, I believe. I don't know if it carries over in different matches, but definitely in that match, I was able to acquire currency and then upgrade my jetpack and other things about my character. This isn't a review, mind you, in case you haven't figured it out yet. I'm just talking about my experience and what I think. So either way, I was able to upgrade some of my bits, and I decided not to play around with too many classes for my first game. I just wanted to focus on getting the main mechanics down. And even though it's a little bit dated, the mechanics feel good. Pointing, shooting, getting kills felt good, and I was surprised. The gameplay I've seen is kind of misleading. It looks kind of clunky and irregular, and in some ways I guess maybe it is, but overall I felt like it was a pretty tight, intuitive experience that is kind of satisfying and honestly might be the main thing that brings me back. But that's usually how it works for me. If a game is fun to control, it's intuitive, it's snappy and responsive, then I usually try to get more in depth with the game. Learn about the different weapons and factions and characters and unlocks and upgrades. And that's going to be more fun because, I don't know, the game is intuitive and fun to shoot people in, and that's of course a main selling point in a first-person shooter. And if you guys know anything about me, it's that I love combat variety in my games. A good competitive FPS in my mind gives me options for multiple playstyles and doesn't force engagements constantly. Whether those are constant long range or constant close range, I'm not a fan of it, and what usually gets me involved in a shooter is engagement variety on a match-to-match, gunfight-to-gunfight, engagement-to-engagement basis. That's why I like Call of Duty games like Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1, and Call of Duty Ghosts, is because it has small maps and the large maps have flank routes and tight quarters areas and long lines of sight, and they're messy. Also, that's why I like Battlefield 3 and 4. Combat variety and player choice seems to be what Battlefield 3 and 4 were all about at the time. But then of course you have people that just want to play Metro 24/7, whatever. So of course this game has this incredibly long-range engagements, vehicle combat, close-range skirmishes. It's all there. What will keep me coming back to this game is the fact that it's intuitive, smooth, fun to play, and totes massive player counts in the servers. You have continents that provide kilometers upon kilometers of variety with thousands of players trying to kill each other. There's multiple factions, so it's not just one team versus another team, there's multiple teams fighting it out for territory control. and you genuinely feel like you're a small part of something much bigger. That really makes kills feel satisfying. It makes the game feel more rewarding when you know you're not just doing 32v32 or 6v6 or 12v12. You are playing on a massive scale. So when you're able to do anything, when you realize how small you are in the match, when you're able to do things, it just feels like it holds more weight. So that, on top of the aforementioned combat variety, is probably what's going to get me into the game. Now, the more pay-to-win aspects that want me to put in my credit card information, the parts of the game that feel unnecessarily convoluted, because the selling point of the game, I think, is already enough. So I'm sorry, I really don't get the whole need for all these upgrades and different variants of different guns and upgrade points. I feel like a game like this would be better if it was a little bit more clean. The selling point for me in this game is the massive battles happening over kilometers upon kilometers of space. Some progression would be nice, but this game just feels very non-welcoming to new people, and that's the part of the game that doesn't feel intuitive or welcoming. So I don't know. I don't know how much of this game is going to be on the channel. I don't know how much you guys want to see of this game on the channel, but it's an awesome novelty, and the fact that it's free to play, you know, I can overlook some of its more pay-to-win-y aspects in some cases because it's not charging me even $20 to hop in. Games like Overwatch will charge me $20 to hop in, but this costs nothing. It's a spectacle to behold, so if you at least have a solid mid-range PC, I recommend getting this game, downloading it, seeing if you can run it. If you can't, just delete it and play something else. But give it an honest go. The matches are long, there's lots to be done, there's lots to do, and I do look forward to playing with different classes and live streaming it occasionally. But of course, there's a lot of shooters under my belt that I need to play and want to play, so I don't know where it's gonna go, but I enjoyed my first match, and I enjoyed streaming it for you guys. So if you want to see more, let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.